I still a woman if I make more money than men? And am I da 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 da? Like all this chatter in my head. And so in abundance now, I just kind of tell you the chatter you might have while you're on your way to abundance, so we can turn that volume down now.
I mean, why did you feel that you wanted to slow down when you were doing so well with your business, though?
Oh, absolutely. So let me tell you, I was about to make. I was at the month of October, and had already earned $973,000, and I knew if I kept working, I'd cross the threshold of $1 million. So I took the rest of the year off.
Oh,
then the next year, by the grace of God, I'm grateful to say, by the time I got to August, I was at $985,000. But guess what? I wanted to take the rest of the year off. And so I realized that, and my excuse was I was tired. And what really was going on was that I was afraid that if I crossed the $1 million threshold and the world knew, and I was considered a $1 million income earner, or whatever that category is, I was afraid that it would make me less like my family. And I know my driving force, my core is my family. And so I was afraid, because I grew up, I have 13 cousins. We grew up very close. We were raised as best friends, and I didn't want money to jeopardize that relationship. Now, they never had a relationship to it. They never mentioned it. It was never an issue. They just told me I had to pay for dinner when we went out. And I was, it was my chatter in my head that caused me to be concerned that if I no longer had the money conversation that my community had, my family had, does that make me too different to be accepted?
Yeah. So basically, you were feeling guilty and thinking, I can't continue to be accepted because of but why? Why the guilt? Because like you said, nobody else worried about it. Why did you feel that it would be a problem?
Because I knew their struggles,
right,
and I loved them. I knew their struggles, and I was managing my codependency.
Yeah. I mean, so I've seen articles.
My middle name is Rescue 911. Lisa, Rescue 911 Nichols, right? So it didn't feel right that I was living in such abundance while my cousins were struggling to rob Peter to pay Paul, and some months robbing them both.
Like you said, you thought you would become one of those people, and in your mind, maybe the psychological cost would be too high, because this is what it says in an article that I found, and they were pertaining to you in an article that you'd been interviewed for, which was how a woman who went from $12 in her bank account went to millionaire status, and you learned to stop sabotaging your success, as you said.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I had to stop sabotaging my success and begin to own it, and then lean into it. I had to be committed to building prosperity, and more than trying to avoid guilt or avoid shame. And that's a mental shift. You know, when you come from most people of color, of any color, whether it's Asian, Latino, whether anything, Indian, there's a cultural connection, familial connection, and some cultures, a spiritual connection. Those muscles are all very, very strong. And I'm not making an absolute statement, but in many cases, the prosperity muscle is an atrophy, because it may require you to have to step away from family or community for a while to go where opportunity is, and that could be devastating and fearful and traumatizing and you know, all those things.
So what made you change your mind and finally say, listen, I'm going to decide I'm going to keep going and not feel guilty about being so successful in my business?
I'm constantly checking in on any belief system that I have that's not serving me, and anytime I remotely shrink, anytime I lean back, anytime I do anything like that, I check myself. I go, wait, hold on, where'd that come from? Wait, hold on, where'd that come from? And so I saw myself doing it, and I realized that the best thing I could do for my family, and the best thing I could do for my community is to be as wildly successful as possible. Wow. That's the best thing I could do. So I began to look at it as, I'm not separating myself. I'm actually creating a vehicle. There's so many doors that I've opened for people because of what I've achieved, so many doors. Yes. And I realized, wait a minute, I got to run fast. But it didn't take long for me to get that. I had conversations with my cousins. I had very candid conversations with them and tear-filled conversations. They were tearful. I was tearful. And I just told them, I said, I miss you guys. I'm on the road. I'm traveling first class all around the world. And yet at the end of the day, nothing beats curling up on the couch with my cousins and watching a bunch of movies. Like I just let them know. And they reminded me that I am always their little cousin. No matter where I am, what I do, or what I've achieved, I'm always their little cousin. And so when they gave me that security to go, you can do anything in the world and we ain't going nowhere. Once I got that, then I could go run.
Wow. Oh, so it's almost like you felt they were almost supporting you to the hilt and giving you their blessing to just do you.
Yes. And not at the risk. I'd also seen so many successful people have a wildly successful career in business, but to the detriment of their families. They didn't have relationships. So my cousins told me, we're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. We're going to be here. Go do your business. And I went, okay, great. Because I don't create a false victory, meaning I have all this money in the bank. I have this wonderful company, but my family relationship is in breakdown. That's not okay for me.
Right. Wow. So do you believe that people should adopt and, if they can, teach their kids as well to have like that really healthy relationship with money from a young age so it doesn't limit the mindset in the future?
Oh, absolutely. I think that there should be money conversations, money healing going on in households. There should be money intentions in household. And I couldn't have always told you that, but I absolutely believe it, that the relationship that you have to money is a relationship your kids are going to adopt to money. And when you make money, when you talk about brushing your teeth and doing your homework, talk about saving your money in the same breath, as natural as that,
Wow. Yeah, make it so that it's something that they get used to and they're not frightened of it. And they just want to do it. I mean, I
they
love
don't
that.
avoid it. Yeah, absolutely. And to understand the relationship of building generational wealth.
Right.
That I have like when we take on responsibility, I believe my responsibility is to create a financially sound future for my son's children. And he doesn't even have them yet.
Wow.
When we start thinking longevity like that, all of a sudden your decisions aren't so spontaneous. And while those are nice, we make decisions that they say wealthy people are always thinking 5 to 10 years out. Broke people are always thinking 30 days out.
Wow. That's some knowledge you just dropped here. Please. Wow. I love that.
Right.
I mean, the thing is, because you said you didn't see yourself doing the things you're doing, so every time you've had a new challenge, and you were talking about your books earlier, I'm curious to know, when you started to do all these different things, like, for example, you started writing these books, whether it was, compiling them or writing them on your own, had you always wanted to be an author? Was it something that you thought about or not at all?
I not only hadn't thought about being an author, but when Jack Canfield, the CEO of Chicken Soup for the Soul, asked me to be an author, I declined.
Wow.
I declined not only one time, but believe it or not, I declined 5 times to co-author the Chicken Soup for the Soul series.
What?
5 times. How idiotic was that? 5 times in 2003. I declined, claiming that I was too busy.
Wow. But why?
because the last English class I took, I received a fail. And my in the UK, do you have the same grading system? Do you know what a fail is?
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
right. So not only did I receive a fail in English, but my English teacher told me in front of the entire class, quote, "Lisa, you have to be the weakest writer I have ever met in my entire life." Oh. And so that was embedded. Like, how many of us are carrying around someone else's perception of us from years ago, and it's still driving you?
Yes.
And so at the time that Jack Canfield asked me to co-author the Chicken Soup for the Soul book, that conversation was still driving me. I didn't know where to put the comma. I never knew where to put the commas. I never knew where to put the semicolons. I'm a run-on sentence mama. I don't put a period until I finish my thought. I mean, I just like, and to this day, the funniest thing my staff does, they're like, "Yep, she got some great words, but you better edit that grammar." And now I'm okay with it. Now I laugh about it. They know I'm employing some editor somewhere all the time. Somebody will have a job because of me if I'm writing something. Wow. But back then, But back then, I was very insecure about it, and I didn't want to get judged again. So when Jack Canfield asked me to co-author the book with him, I thought, I'm not going to have anybody else tell me that I'm the weakest writer they ever met in their entire life. And to make sure of that, I'm not going to write.
Oh.
And so I declined for 5 months. Once a month, they would call me for 5 months. I declined. And then finally, a friend of mine who's an editor, she said, I promise you on everything on my life that I will not allow you to be embarrassed. Mm. And so with very shaky knees and very, jittery teeth and nervousness, I wrote 5 stories for them to determine if they liked them. And Jack Canfield called me personally and said, these are some of the most powerful stories I've ever read in my life. And all of a sudden, overnight, like I realized that my English teacher's perception of me was just that. It was her perception of me. The tragedy that occurred was that I made my English teacher's perception of me my truth. But it was always just her perception. It was never my truth. It was her opinion of me. And I accidentally, mistakenly, tragically made her opinion of me turn into my truth. And the day he looked me in my eyes in Santa Barbara, California, and said, you are one of the most powerful storytellers I have ever met, I allowed her perception of me to end. Now, mind you, I still needed some help on the commas and the semicolons and the periods, but all of a sudden I wasn't a bad writer. All of a sudden I just needed grammatical help, and I'm okay with that. And listen, I have 7 bestsellers under my belt. I don't even know why they invented semicolons and colons. I don't even know. If you offer to pay me to tell you when I'm supposed to put one or the other, I might get it close to one. But I don't. And here's the cool thing about it that only comes with age. I don't fret about it. I don't lose 1 ounce of sleep. It doesn't the least bit measure or impact the quality and the value that I bring to people, because that's not my strength. I don't need to be strong in everything. I need to be mindful and knowledgeable in many things, but I've learned I don't need to master everything. And the best thing I can do is drill deep in my lane to be of the highest service in my lane, and then let some other brilliant genius drive deep in their lane.
I mean, I'm sitting here nodding my head because it's fantastic and it's so inspiring to hear you say these things. And you are giving all the millions of listeners out there so much confidence to hear you say you did not feel confident, but you took that leap of faith. You finally did it because somebody else said, no, you really can do this, and we support you, and we're gonna help you because we know you can do it. And your English teacher, that's very negative. And out there, please, whoever's listening to this, please don't let people, as you say, give you a horrible negative perception in your life, because why would you want to go through life worrying about what someone else has thought of you, and especially making you feel bad?
Right. Yeah. Well, here's the deal, that people will want you to mentally stay where they are. No one wants to be left behind. No one wants to be left behind. And you have to make a decision what you're going to accept as your truth and what you will allow people to have as their perception of you, and be okay with that. And my grandmother says, the best thing you can do is don't spend any more time trying to manage someone else's perception of you, because other people's perception of you ain't none of your business.
Yeah.
Isn't that the best thing?
She's a very wise woman.
Right. She said that's why their perception of you is in their head. And you're over here trying to manage their perception of you over there. And you can't even be in your own head about who you know yourself to be. And so once I did that, I think the thing that people love about me, amen, for those who love me, not everyone loves me, but for those who do love me, I think what they love about me is that they see me doing Lisa.
Right.
They see me doing Lisa. And when you see me doing Lisa, you see me doing Lisa brilliant, Lisa quirky, Lisa shy, Lisa sad, Lisa growing, Lisa humble, Lisa grand. You see all parts of me. I'm a 360. You're a 360 woman. We're 360 people. And so often we don't show everyone all of us. Because we're trying to manage their perception of us. And so here's the opportunity we have. I'm going to show you me. and then you choose whatever perception of me you choose. My job is to show you me, and not in a way that's dismissive, and not in a way that says I don't care what you think, but in a way that says I'm more committed to standing in my truth than I am trying to do a tap dance